Well, hello Switch, I'm Andy. I'm back with you afterwards. We told you that we couldn't answer all the questions, but we're going to answer as many as we possibly can. And let me tell you, thousands of questions have come in. We're answering as much as we can on Wednesday nights during Switch, but afterwards come back here and we're going to have more videos for you just to answer some more questions maybe that you text in. The first one came in, they asked a really good question. They say, why is it cool for guys to hook up with girls, but girls get called names when they hook up with guys? That's a great question that I don't know that I fully have the answer to. It seems like it's generally always been that way. Guys seem to be catapulted, whether it's their stature or whatever else, amongst other guys, the more girls that they can get, where girls start to be called names. My thing is, really, this shouldn't bother you. And why it shouldn't bother you is if you're living your life with the purity that God has called you to, it doesn't matter, all right? And so I know that is a good question. I wish I had a better answer, more than if you're living under God's righteous and holy standards for your life, it really shouldn't matter what you think because you're living differently from anybody else. The next one is a good one. Is it bad to think about sex? How about yes and no? Sex in itself? Well, I mean, I think a lot of people think about sex. I think guys think about it every 6 seconds was a statistic I heard one time. But the reality is it right to think about sex and lusting after someone? The answer is yes, that would be sin. Remember, sin is our disobedience from God's word. Matthew 5:28, what if we lust in our hearts and we're thinking about sex with other people and those types of things, I think we've totally gone over the line. If I'm in sex ed class and they're teaching something, then maybe it's not wrong to think about sex. Good question. How do I get a girlfriend? There are plenty of websites all over the place online that will teach you how to get a girlfriend. Go to YouTube, go something and say, how do I get a girlfriend? I'm desperate, because you got to be somewhat desperate to be looking online of how to get a girlfriend. So really, to be honest with you, the best advice I can give you in a short order is this: be yourself. I know that's crazy, but in this world of fakes and everybody trying to be somebody they're not, it's really nice just to meet somebody that's genuine, who knows who they are and who are confident, and meet somebody who has standards for purity and they know what's okay and what's not okay in their own life. I promise you, if you're secure in who you are, that uniqueness comes out and people will flock to that. I promise you. The reason you probably can't find a girlfriend is you're trying to be something and everybody knows you're not that person. This next one's a great one. I know that it's going to have a lot of parents up asking themselves. It's, what's the proper age to date? My suggestion for you is this: always go back to your parents. I think that's a family decision. I do know that when people start dating at younger ages, statistically they become more sexually active later. If you're 10, 11, 12, 13, dating all the time, going to the movies, finding out boyfriends, or having all your girlfriends, or doing all that stuff, the chances are not good for your purity. That's just simply statistically the way it is. I think this is a family discussion. Sit down, talk to your mom and dad, set up parameters. Maybe they say you can go out, but you can't go out alone. You can go out with a group of people, or you can go over to their house if their parents are there, or maybe you're not ready for boyfriend or girlfriend, but you can go out and hang out with them at the football game or whatever you do. I would say this: you may not like what you hear. You may not like what you hear. But if you go all the way back into Exodus chapter 20, we're to honor our mother and father. And here's what I do know, is that when you honor them, when you disagree with them anyway, you're actually choosing to honor God in what He has set up in the structure. So while you may disagree, step back and ask yourself, do I want to honor God by honoring my parents? And I believe the answer for you is yes. Family discussion and question. Last one: is it okay to flirt with someone if you don't like them? Yes, but watch out. You may have a stalker on your hands. What happens if you start flirting with that person? They start to like you, which is cool, but then you go and mess with their hearts and you're like, I never liked you in the first place. To me, that's kind of being a jerk. That's rude, just to flirt with somebody. If you're out both flirting and having a great time and that's funny, fantastic. But if you're flirting with her and she starts to like you, or vice versa, and then you got to walk away from that, feelings get hurt, not a good thing. Looking forward to be back with you guys for week number 3 of Nothing Off Limits, where there is nothing off limits, as we ask the hard question: how far is too far? And what do I do if I've stepped across the line? See you next week.